Good morning again. Chair, board members, CEO, and members of our audience. We will be starting today's meeting, regular board meeting of September 18. We will start by first having members of the public wishing to provide comment. We have 3 speakers signed up. I'll remind everyone that's speaking, you are limited to 3 minutes. I will start with the first speaker, Layla Logisco, who will be commenting on item number 4. If you could step up to the podium, please. Thank you.
Good morning, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Layla Logisco. I am the district leader representing Chelsea, and I am here to urge the board to table matter number 4 that has to do with Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea. The financing package that you are asked to enter into is utterly flawed, and as it commits NYCHA to a 99-year lease at FEC and is highly leveraged scheme that will burden the authority and tenants for generations. The numbers simply do not add up and the risks are far too great. The guarantees associated with this transaction are not remotely adequate. There is a more fiscally prudent path, which is refurbishing and repairing the existing buildings. That option would be both faster and cheaper, and this is according to NYCHA and the PACT partners related in essence. NYCHA's own estimates from prior studies show that the rehabilitation can be delivered at a fraction of the cost of demolition and redevelopment. In the meantime, residents could remain in their homes, avoiding years of upheaval. While we debate these paper transactions, seniors at Elliott-Chelsea are in dire straits. They have been subjected to a campaign of harassment and neglect that has left them fearful and exhausted. Instead of providing safety and stability, NYCHA is advancing a plan that prolongs uncertainty and intensifies the suffering. I ask you to step back. Do not rush into a 99-year deal that cannot be undone. Table this item, reassess the financing, and return with an option that prioritizes fiscal responsibility, rehabilitation over demolition, and above all, the dignity and well-being of the tenants you serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Logisco. Our second speaker will be Lorette Humphrey on item number 3. Ms. Humphrey?
Greetings, NYCHA board members. How are you?
Good, thank
I
you.
hope
Nice
you had
to
a
see
great
you
summer.
again. Good, thank you.
All right.
We missed seeing you last month.
It's been busy.
I
It's
know.
been busy. I'm really here to say thank you to NYCHA for moving forward with getting the residents their homes. I want to say that the residents are working with the realtors and the law department, is that right? To move forward in getting a plan so that the residents can be homeowners. I do want to say, I'm not sure if it's a financial situation with the residents getting the repairs for their homes, because some of the maintenance people are coming to the residents' homes and stating that we're not going to fix your home, we're not going to do this, we're not going to do that. So I don't know if, what that means and why, and if anybody has an answer for that, I would appreciate. Regarding my specific home, I requested siding for my home. That has not been done. I requested that the foundation be resurfaced. I even bought the supplies to do that. That has not been done. So I am begging and pleading with NYCHA at this time to please resurface my home, because moisture is coming in. Moisture is coming into the home. I don't like to hear that we're not gonna fix the homes, we're gonna let them become dilapidated and uninhabitable. That's not fair to the residents, and I look forward to continue and the collaboration. And as I said before, I appreciate the real estate, I appreciate our people coming together and working, and I look forward for this relationship to continue on a good note.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphrey. And our last speaker today will be Brenda Carter, commenting on item number 1.
Good morning, everyone. I'm gonna do public speaking. I'm very nervous. I'm sorry.
Nope, nothing to be nervous about.
I live in an FHA home. And I just want my home to be included in the 5H program to get my title, the transfer of my title. I wrote it down. Also, there's a few things wrong, but I can't seem to reach anyone right now. I don't have a kitchen. And I wanna fix it myself, but they won't allow me. Those are all my issues. That's it. I thank you for letting me speak. Have a nice day.
Thank you.
Thank you to you both for raising the issues with repairs in your homes. I wanna flag my staff member Orkin, who's sitting right behind you, if you turn around in the white shirt. He can sit with you and take down all your information and make sure that we flag those repair needs to property management so they can respond.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming.
That concludes our public comment portion, and we may proceed with the regular calendar. We will start by approving the minutes of the regular meeting on Wednesday, July 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Gavin, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We may now move forward with the CEO, board chair. Do you have any comments?
No, I don't think so, I think. That's fine. No, I don't think so, I think, I'm sure the chair, the CEO is gonna cover this, and we, are you gonna talk a little about DC or not really? No. Okay. Just a quick note is that we, a number of us went down to Washington earlier this week to meet with our New York delegation and other staff and so forth. I don't want to get pictures, you can take it when I'm talking. To talk about the budget situation that the government is facing and that's gonna impact NYCHA. Obviously, it's not great. We'll see what happens tomorrow, which seems to be the sort of informal deadline for government shutdown, which does have an impact on our residents. But I'm sure we'll keep everybody posted about that. But other than that, no, and you should know that the reception from the delegation was great. We really, they're all very supportive, which I think is different from years past when they had more issues with how NYCHA was operating. There was tremendous support, recognition that the management team has done a great job over the last several years to turn things back in a positive direction, and they offered everything they could, as well as support for the direction, the initiatives that NYCHA's taken now, including obviously Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea, which Mr. Adler spoke very highly of, and so forth. So thank you for being here, and I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us at our September meeting. I look forward to hearing an update from our Real Estate Development Department on PACT and the Public Housing Preservation Trust, presented by Michael Parkinson, Director of Community Planning, and Manju Sen, Senior Director for Voting and Trust Program Management. I'm proud to share that NYCHA has issued its first request for expressions of interest to explore new partnerships that will expand deeply affordable housing opportunities on private land. Building on the success of PACT and the Trust, this marks a bold step forward in using every tool available to address the city's housing crisis. As the largest landowner in New York City, NYCHA is uniquely positioned to help deliver the affordable, high-quality housing that low-income New Yorkers urgently need. At the federal level, while there's currently no update on the budget, we remain focused on the potential impacts of proposed cuts to public housing funding. These cuts would have serious tangible effects on our residents, from delaying critical capital repairs to limiting essential services like maintenance and social support. We continue to work closely, as our chair said, with our city, state, and federal partners to advocate for resources for our communities that they desperately need and deserve. Thank you again for joining us today for today's board meeting, and I will turn it back over to the special advisor to.
Thank you very much, Madam CEO. We may proceed now with our presentation for today by Michael Parkinson and Mandusen.
Thank you and good morning. Thank you, good morning. There we go. Okay, now I'm amplified. Thank you for the opportunity to come and provide an update on both the PACT program and the trust. My name is Michael Parkinson. I'm the Director of Community Planning in NYCHA's Real Estate Department. It's nice to be here today. So starting with the big picture, we're excited to share that to date, nearly $8 billion in capital repairs is already completed or underway across developments in all 5 boroughs of the city. Construction is either in progress or completed, excuse me, at over 100 developments. This represents nearly 28,000 units and nearly $8 billion of capital repairs. This time next week, I think that number will be closer to $8.5 billion, which is an amazing accomplishment. Given that we have 2 projects closing next week, representing 1,400 units of housing and approximately $700 million of capital repairs. In addition to those developments that are already completed or in construction, we have 38 other developments that are in what we call the planning and resident engagement phases of pre-development. And that is expected to leverage over $5 billion of capital repairs for NYCHA developments. Next slide, please. So of those developments where construction has been completed, this represents 10 projects and multiple developments within many of those projects. Totaling $2.7 billion of investment. And this impacts, positively impacts over 13,000 households. So this is 13,000 NYCHA families that have already received or are in the process of receiving much needed renovations and upgrades across the portfolio. Next slide, please. Most recently, we've completed construction at Linden and Penn Wortman in Brooklyn, as well as Williamsburg houses in Brooklyn. And you can see some images here at Linden and Penn Wortman showing the new landscaping, new building facades, a resurfaced sport court. And at Williamsburg houses, this was a historic preservation project where they've received, the whole suite of PACT renovations, including things like new custom windows for all the buildings, as well as you can see in the image on the bottom right, brand new kitchens and apartments, new appliances and the like. Next slide, please. In terms of developments where construction is underway, we have many. There are 15 different projects where construction is being completed as we speak or slated to start later this year. This represents over 15,000 units of housing and nearly $6 billion of capital repair. So this, you'll see on the bottom here, the highlighted rows, this does include the 2 projects I referenced earlier that are slated to close next week. Up in East Harlem at Metro North Plaza and Gaylord White, as well as Ocean Hill and Stuyvesant Gardens in various neighborhoods in central Brooklyn. Next slide. So just to note some of the progress made on the Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea project. NYCHA and our PACT partner, Essence Development and the related companies have made significant progress toward implementing the first phase of redevelopment of all existing 2,056 units of housing at NYCHA's Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea developments, and those are slated to close later this year. Next slide. So key sort of updates within that project. Last October, NYCHA and our PACT partner entered into the Master Development Agreement, which really outlines guiding principles for how the partners are supplementing NYCHA's management of those developments today. And this includes I'm referencing the bridge plan. The Master Development Agreement, of course, outlines the guiding principles for redeveloping all units, all 2,056 housing units, and creating an additional up to 3,500 units of mixed income housing at those sites. And I was getting ahead of myself earlier. The bridge plan is another important update here, where the partners are supplementing NYCHA's existing operations and providing critical support services in ways of pest management, in-unit ticket closeout, and supplemental security and support for heating and elevator outages. And the environmental impact statement was completed in July of this year. It is important to note that voluntary relocations are underway and longstanding reasonable accommodation moves are being fulfilled. all 111 households required to relocate in the first phase have been offered on-site refurbished units. And NYCHA and the PACT partner are working toward a closing, which you'll hear more about later this morning, on financing in Q4 this year.
So on-site means what?
At the development locations
At the
themselves.
development location.
That's right. And so, of course, the first phase of redevelopment will deliver 664 units of replacement housing for those residents. Next slide. So as was referenced earlier, we are also excited to share that in August, NYCHA released the Development Partnership Opportunities RFEI. Again, in many ways, just trying to leave no stone unturned in the fight for this affordable housing crisis. NYCHA is seeking proposals on privately owned land that meet the following goals. To increase high-quality housing opportunities and access to neighborhood amenities for NYCHA residents, to generate revenue for reinvestment in NYCHA communities, and lastly, to expand low-income housing opportunities for all New Yorkers. I'll just note that we had a very successful pre-submission conference just 2 weeks ago, so we're hopeful that there's a lot of interest in that RFEI, and we'll be accepting proposals beginning in October. Next slide, please. So more recently than that, we've also released an RFEI for Howard houses in the Brownsville section of Brooklyn. We're excited to note that this will impact 815 units and bring them the much needed renovations and repairs that they need. And in addition to that development, we're also working closely with residents across the city who are yet to be included in the PACT program as far as the pre-development phase is concerned, but we're actively working on planning and engagement with them. Some of those developments are listed here, and we have many others that will be announced in the coming weeks. Next slide, please. And of course, PACT is not merely a construction program, right? Maintenance, management, operations is a big component of the permanent affordability commitment together. And we're happy to report that the occurrence of work orders are relatively low across converted sites. And where there are work orders, they are being resolved promptly. So I'll share that in none of the reporting categories were work orders created for more than 2.1% of the portfolio's approximately 27,000 units. And again, where those work orders are being created, at least 99% have been resolved and are being resolved on time, and 80% are being resolved on time. Next slide. And paramount to the program's success is resident engagement. This is an area that we take a lot of pride in and a lot of focus on. We engage with residents in a variety of ways, notably engaging with them on partner selection, working with residents to select the development teams, the property management teams, general contractors, and social service providers that they're going to be working with directly over the course of the project's life cycle. We work with residents and make sure that our partner teams are working closely with residents to identify various design options and solutions for their homes. We strive for clear and consistent communication. We do this in a number of ways. I have some images on the next slide that demonstrate a couple of those ways. But we take pride in that it's not just a one-way street. We make sure to share information with residents, but we want to make sure that we're always available to hear input and feedback as well. So our teams are always available for residents throughout the process, even outside of key milestones and moments in our typical engagement. And lastly, we provide technical assistance to our resident associations and resident leaders. To date, we have provided 38 different tenant associations and resident leadership groups with specific technical assistance in the ways of design, community planning, and legal assistance. Next slide, please. So here I referenced earlier, these are just some images that represent our engagement approach and strategy. The images on the right show a variety of meetings and other touch points, model unit tours, design charrettes and workshops, ribbon cuttings. And on the left, on the top left, you can see these are spreads and images from what we call our community plans. This is a tool that we've been using in recent closings that we find to be really important for residents to understand the full scope of what a project is going to deliver to them, not only in terms of just the renovation and construction, but also the management plan, security plan, and social service plan. There is a copy of these community plans that are delivered to every single household as a project closes, so that every resident understands very clearly, regardless of how plugged in they may have been during our engagement process, what is to occur and what they should expect from the program. And then finally, on the bottom left, I'll just mention, we've also recently launched 3 new videos highlighting various aspects of the PACT program. So if folks can't make it to a meeting, if they don't want to sit down and leaf through a full community plan, and they prefer to watch a video, we've got videos that are I think, really engaging and really informative on how the program works. Next slide. And so with that, I will pass it to my colleague Mandu, who will share some notes on the trust. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. That's loud. Good morning, board members. My name is Mandu Sen. I'm the Senior Director for Voting and Trust Program Management here at the Real Estate Development Department. And I'll be, like you said, Michael said, providing you an update on another program, the Trust. As we presented last year, the Trust originates in state legislation that was passed in 2022. Creating a new government agency, the Public Housing Preservation Trust, to serve as a public developer. In this model, properties will convert from Section 9 to Section 8, and NYCHA continues to serve as a property manager after the conversion. The trust and NYCHA began pre-development on the first property in January 2024, and today, as you can see, there are 4 properties, 3 in Brooklyn and 1 in the Bronx, in pre-development, undergoing conversion to the trust model. In total, the portfolio has 1,776 units and over $800 million in estimated capital needs. To meet these needs, 3 of these developments are using a design-build procurement approach, working with ACM's Comp Mod. And Nostrand and Bronx River Edition are the most advanced. The trust has signed a contract with the design builder who will be leading the work at Nostrand, and is close to doing that at Bronx River Edition. The request for proposal from a qualified design builder candidate for Unity Towers is anticipated later this year. For Highland Houses, the trust is taking a different procurement approach. It's called Progressive Design Build. It's a more iterative procurement process, and it will be issuing a request for qualifications, also anticipated later this year. And now to voting, next slide. Thank you. And of course, in order for a property to enter the trust pipeline, the state legislation requires a resident vote to be conducted. But this is not required for developments to enter other programs. To date, NYCHA's small but mighty voter engagement team has conducted 7 resident votes, with participation exceeding 50% of all eligible voters in the developments. So far, 4 developments have voted for the trust, 2 for Section 9 and 1 for PACT. Per the voting rules, NYCHA is required to take stock of a vote after 6 votes. Having met that benchmark, the voter engagement team is right now reviewing the results, seeking feedback, and integrating lessons learned, and so we should be hearing more soon. With that, I'd like to turn it back to my colleague Michael to wrap it all up. Thanks, everyone.
Great, thanks, Mandu. So yeah, just to end with some recent announcements and updates for the board. Over the last year, we have converted sites at both East Chester Gardens in the Bronx and the project we refer to as the Northwest Bronx Scattered Sites. We've completed construction at Linden and Penn Wortman, of which you saw some images of earlier. And upcoming completions are expected at Boulevard, Belmont Sutter area, and Fiorentino Plaza. We've received environmental clearance for the Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea project, and we are thrilled to share that the real estate team is being honored with the Public Service Award by the New York Housing Conference in December, and that the Williamsburg project was awarded the Excellence in Historic Preservation by the Preservation League of New York State. So with that, I'll thank you for your time.
Thank you. Yes.
Just, so I've heard everything before and during and present. I wanna kind of speak towards the future. So once the development has been converted and all the construction and everything is done, when is the next time that you make contact to see if everything is running smoothly, or as the management people that take over are doing?
Sure, I'm happy to speak to that, and I would defer to my colleagues in our asset management department to add detail at a later time if necessary. But we receive monthly reports from our PACT partners that report back on progress in a variety of areas. I believe we're even publishing that data publicly now so that anybody has access to it. But beyond our asset management team, there are also a variety of functions that sort of enshrine that relationship. We have internally within NYCHA different resident engagement staff who maintain strong relationships with the tenant associations. We still maintain responsibilities with respect to board formation and election processes, and I'm sure a variety of other functions.
I mean, you're doing wonderful work. I mean, I would hate for it to later on, all of a sudden, run into a snag.
No, of course, we always tell our residents that.
So it's
as they're-
ongoing.
It's ongoing.
Yeah, it is ongoing, yes.
That's what I needed to know.
There you go.
Thank you.
So, just one other, I don't know if anybody else has any other questions or anything they'd like to say.
I
Joan,
do,
yeah, sure.
well, I guess just to state the obvious, so the votes for section 9 are votes for status quo, no real path for renovations in the near term for those developments. Is that right?
For now.
Yeah.
And I think it should be said, this is exactly why there's a pause, and we're sort of taking this.
They section 9.
Apologies.
Excuse me. Public comment is closed. Thank you.
I should say that this is exactly why there's a pause, and we're taking stock and trying to understand this process. And also no development option is foreclosed in any permanent way because of a vote. That's like important to stress. It's just a question at the time.
So I just one comment, and I forget the mic, okay, fine. And I don't know why this has to be repeated, but it does bear repeating, and it doesn't always seem to resonate, but if you go back, Michael, don't do it here, but if you think back to the beginning of your presentation, PACT so far, PACT conversions all in have resulted in $8 billion of capital work?
That's right.
Okay, and it's gonna be 8.5, and then there was the pipeline of conversions that are underway now, or whatever it is. It just is gonna keep growing, obviously. That is $8.5 billion that wasn't going to emerge somewhere else if we didn't do PACT. So this agency works incredibly hard to get capital money from the state, the city, and the federal government. And gets absolutely every dime, I think it's fair to say, squeezes every dime out of every one of those sources that it can possibly do, and it puts it all to good work, which is a new feature for NYCHA also. But there's not any more coming from anywhere, which means there's no more capital repairs coming if you don't find some other way to get that money. And PACT is the way, now the trust. Those are the only two ways that there are that have been identified so far. There's different permutations, but that's all there is. So, no PACT, no $8 billion to date, and no $8.5 billion, as of next week, and on and on and on. Everything is imperfect. I think you guys have done a remarkable job of turning PACT into an engine that works both for the residents because of their engagement, and for the public in general, and for the agency. That's, the results speak for themselves. Without PACT, none of that work gets done. It's not like the money's coming from somewhere else. It's not operating funds, it's nothing else. It doesn't come. So thank you for everything you're doing on that.
Requesting for everyone to silence their phones, please. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We may proceed with presenter number 1.
Good morning. Hello, board members. My name is Nina Farahanchi. I'm a project manager on the transactions team in the real estate development department, and I will now be presenting item number 1. Through NYCHA's PACT program, NYCHA seeks to convert developments from Section 9 funding to project-based Section 8, a more stable source of federal funding. We do this through HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Program and by partnering with a team of for-profit and nonprofit developers, general contractors, property managers, and social service providers. As Michael mentioned, to date, NYCHA has provided over $7.9 billion of capital repairs to over 27,000 units. of which 13,000 have completed construction, representing over $2.6 billion of investment. Today, we are seeking board approval relating to the PACT conversion of one development, Campos Plaza 2. As pictured on the map, Campos Plaza 2 is adjacent to Campos Plaza 1, which received renovations as part of the 2015 Triborough transaction by the same developer team. Campos Plaza 2 consists of 224 units, is located in Manhattan, and was part of PACT Round 13. Additional details about the transaction can be found in the board materials. We first came to the board for the conversion of Campos Plaza 2 in October 2023, where we sought board approval to submit the initial applications to HUD. We are now returning to the board to request authorization to seek the final HUD approvals and enter into documents necessary to close on the conversion in the coming months. The PACT partner team consists of the following groups. Campos Plaza 2 PACT Partners LLC, a joint venture comprised of L&M Development Partners LLC and Type A Projects LLC as co-developers, L&M Builders Group as the general contractor, CNC Apartment Management as the property manager, and Henry Street Settlement as the social service provider. Upon receipt of our initial application to HUD, HUD issued its initial approval for the transaction through its commitment to enter into a housing assistance payment contract on June 25th, 2024. At closing, NYCHA and the PACT partner will enter into a housing assistance payment contract, which will be administered by the authority's leased housing department. The transaction remains subject to HUD's RAD approval, which is required prior to closing. The City of New York issued its letter of support for the proposed transaction on October 4th, 2023. Recapitalizing and rehabilitating Campos Plaza 2 is anticipated to cost approximately $134 million, and the transaction budget is still subject to approval by NYCHA, HDC, and HUD. The authority and the PACT partner have met with and will continue to engage with residents throughout the PACT process via meetings and written notices. To date, NYCHA and the PACT partner have held 7 meetings with residents, and all residents are advised of their ability to access legal services to answer any questions regarding the conversion. In terms of resident hiring, the PACT partner has put together a hiring plan that details preliminary projected estimated labor hours as well as training opportunities. Preliminary opportunities include no less than approximately 33,600 projected labor hours and 8,400 projected Section 3 labor hours. We are anticipating that the conversion at Campos Plaza 2 will take place in the next few months and will work diligently with our partners and residents to ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible. So thank you very much, and please let me know if you have any questions about item number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 2.
I'm just gonna step out for item 2. Dave, can I speak to you one second?
Item number 2, please.
Good morning. My name is Alfonsino Idrago. I'm a project manager on the transaction team in the real estate development department, and I will now present item number 2. We are seeking board approval relating to the PACT conversion of Bayview houses. The development is located in Brooklyn and consists of 1,270 Section 9 units and 340 Section 8 units for a total of 1,610 units. Bayview was part of the NYCHA PACT Bayview and Murphy private request for expression of interest. And additional details about the transactions are in the board material. We first came to the board for the conversion at Bayview in March 2024, when we sought board approval to submit the initial application to HUD. We are now coming back to the board to request authorization to seek the final HUD approvals and enter into document necessary to close the PACT conversion at Bayview in the coming month. The PACT partner for Bayview is made up of the following groups: Infinite RDC, a joint venture partnership comprised of Infinite Horizons LLC and RDC Development LLC, a partnership between MDG Design and Construction LLC and Wavecrest Management Group LLC as developers. Wavecrest Management Group LLC as the property manager, MDG Design and Construction as the general contractor. Currently, the PACT program and the TAs are working to select a social service provider for Bayview. HUD issued its initial approval for the transaction through its commitment to enter into a housing assistance payment contract on July 23rd, 2025. The City of New York issued a letter of support for the transaction on January 2nd, 2024. Recapitalizing and rehabilitating Bayview is anticipated to cost approximately $900 million. The final transaction budget is subject to approval by NYCHA, HDC, and HUD. The authority and the PAC partner have met with residents and will continue to engage with residents throughout the process via meetings and written notices. NYCHA and the PAC developer have held 4 rounds of meetings at Bayview since designation to date, and residents are advised of their ability to access free legal services to discuss questions regarding the conversion and the new PAC Section 8 list. In terms of resident hiring, the PAC partner has provided a hiring plan that includes no less than approximately 1,700,000 total estimated projected labor hours and 425,000 estimated projected Section 3 labor hours. We are anticipating that the PACT conversion will take place in the 4th quarter of 2025 and will work with our partners and residents to ensure the transition is as smooth as possible. Thank you very much, and please let me know if you have any questions on item number 2.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 3.
Thank you very much.
Excuse me, item number 3.
Good morning. My name is Matthew Norkey, and I'm a project manager on the transaction team in the real estate development department. I will now present item number 3. We are seeking board approval relating to the PAC conversion at Wilson Houses. The development consists of a total of 398 units in Manhattan. Wilson Houses was part of PACT Round 10, and additional details about the transaction are in the board materials. We first came to the board for the conversion at Wilson Houses on September 28th, 2022, when we sought board approval to submit the initial application to HUD. We are now coming back to the board to request authorization to seek the final HUD approvals and enter into documents necessary to close on the PAC conversion at Wilson Houses in the coming months. The PAC partner is made of the following groups: East Harlem PACT Alliance LLC, which is a joint venture comprised of Hope Community Inc. and Apex Sydney PACT Development LLC as co-developers. Apex Sydney PACT Development LLC is a joint venture of Apex Real Estate Development LLC and Sydney Capital Group LLC. Shinda Management Corporation as the property manager, Apex Building Group and Gilbane Development Company as co-general contractors, and Hope Community Inc. as the social service provider. HUD issued its approval for the transaction through its commitment to enter into a housing assistance payment contract on January 5th, 2023. The City of New York issued a letter of support for the proposed transaction on September 21st, 2022. Recapitalizing and rehabilitating Wilson Houses is anticipated to cost approximately $250 million. The final transaction budget is subject to approval by NYCHA, HDC, and HUD. The authority and the PAC partner have met with residents and will continue to engage with residents throughout the process via meetings and written notices. NYCHA and the PAC developer have held 8 rounds of meetings at the development of Wilson Houses since designation to date, and residents are advised of their ability to access free legal services to discuss questions regarding conversion and their new PAC Section 8 lease. In terms of resident hiring, the PAC partner has provided a hiring plan that includes no less than approximately 170,000 total estimated project labor hours and 42,500 estimated projected Section 3 labor hours. We anticipate that the PACT conversion will take place in the 4th quarter of 2025, and we'll work with our partners and our residents to ensure that the transition is as smooth as possible. Thank you very much for your time, and please let me know if you have any questions on item number 3.
I don't have any questions, but
I just think it's noteworthy that, one of the, that the lead, is it the lead developer's Hope?
Yes.
The lead, effectively the lead developer, which is a nonprofit.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of the things, I don't know how many of our projects overall have been nonprofit, and had nonprofit lead developers, some number.
I'm not sure, but I don't think it's the
doesn't matter,
norm.
but it's noteworthy that it's a large and complicated project, it's great for not only for NYCHA residents, but it's also important for the developer, because it's a source of income for a nonprofit that obviously does work in the community. So it's, it's not always the for-profit developer community, it's also non, which is great. Thanks. Well done. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Good morning, members of the board. My name is Spencer Edwards, Deputy Director of Asset Development in the Real Estate Development Department, and I will now present item number 4. We are seeking board approval for the PACT conversion and first phase redevelopment of the Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea campuses, which will result in the creation of approximately 664 units of replacement housing for existing NYCHA residents in these campuses in Manhattan. This is the first phase of an ambitious plan to redevelop all 2,056 units of housing through the PACT program at the Fulton, Elliott-Chelsea, and Chelsea Edition campuses. NYCHA most recently presented to the board on October 30th, 2024, and obtained approval to enter into a master development agreement with the PACT partner. We are now requesting authorization to seek the final HUD approvals and enter into agreements necessary to close on the first phase transactions later this year. The first phase of redevelopment will entail the conversion of 5 buildings at Fulton and 3 buildings at the Elliott-Chelsea campus to project-based Section 8 through NYCHA's PACT program. At each campus, one of the existing buildings will be vacated so that those existing buildings can be demolished and redeveloped. Those 2 buildings are Fulton 11 and Chelsea Edition, and all authorized residents from those 2 buildings have the right to return to the replacement building once completed. The replacement buildings will also serve as new housing for the households in the 6 other buildings that are converting to Section 8 during this phase. Phase 1 of the redevelopment consists of a distinct transaction for Fulton and another for Elliott-Chelsea, which I'll now describe in greater detail. So the Fulton Phase 1 conversion entails relocating all residents out of Fulton 11 to other vacant and refurbished apartments on the Fulton and Elliott-Chelsea campuses. At closing, we will convert Fulton Buildings 5, 7, 8, and 10, as well as the vacated Fulton Building 11 to project-based Section 8 through RAD. Fulton Buildings 5, 7, 8, and 10 will remain occupied and will be managed by the PACT partner as project-based Section 8 properties until their respective replacement building is completed. Once vacant, the PACT partner will demolish Fulton Building 11 and construct the Fulton Phase 1 replacement building, which will contain approximately 216 project-based voucher units. And finally, we will move all households previously residing in Fulton Building 11, as well as all residents from Fulton Buildings 5, 7, 8, and 10 into the replacement building. Next slide, please. The Elliott-Chelsea Phase 1 conversion entails relocating all residents out of Chelsea Edition to other vacancies on the campuses. We will be converting Elliott Building 1, Chelsea Building 2, as well as Chelsea Edition to project-based Section 8. I want to note that any existing Section 8 residents at Chelsea Building 2 that were previously converted under the mixed finance program will remain in their units as existing Section 8 residents. Elliott 1 and Chelsea 2 will remain occupied and be managed by the PACT partner as project-based Section 8 units until their respective replacement building is complete. Once vacant, the PACT partner will demolish Chelsea Edition and construct the Elliott-Chelsea Phase 1 replacement building, which will contain approximately 448 PBV units. And then finally, we will move all households previously residing in Chelsea Edition and all residents from Elliott Building 1 and Chelsea Building 2 into the replacement building. Through the full PACT redevelopment of the entire project site, the authority will convert all existing residential units to project-based Section 8 over the course of approximately 5 years, with the total number of financial closings still to be determined and subject to change. After all replacement buildings are complete, the authority intends to pursue additional mixed income and mixed use development to further provide for the needs of the community. The PACT partner is made up of the following groups. Elliott-Fulton LLC, which is a joint venture between Essence Development and the related companies. They are serving as co-developers. Related Management Company is serving as the property manager, and Hudson Yards Construction 2 is serving as the general contractor. In terms of HUD approvals, NYCHA submitted an initial RAD application as authorized by a prior board resolution, and HUD issued its initial approval for the transaction through issuing a commitment to enter into a housing assistance payment contract on January 10th, 2023. At the closings, NYCHA and PACT partner will enter into housing assistance payment contracts, which will be administered by the authority's leased housing department, and the transaction remains subject to HUD's RAD approval, which is required prior to closing. The authority received a letter of support from the Deputy Mayor for Housing and Economic Development on December 20th, 2021, as well as a confirmatory supplemental letter of support from the Deputy Mayor of Housing, Economic Development, and Workforce Development on July 31st, 2025. The total cost for Phase 1 of the redevelopment at the project site is anticipated to be approximately $751 million, and the final transaction budget is subject to approval by NYCHA, HDC, and HUD. The scope of work for the replacement buildings will be finalized prior to each transaction closing and will be presented to the residents prior to the start of construction, with the first phase expected to begin in the fourth quarter of this year. The replacement buildings will feature modern residential amenities for authority residents such as dishwashers, in-unit washers and dryers, fitness centers, resident lounges, rooftop gardens, and lobby attendants. Through the entire redevelopment, the campuses will come to feature new healthcare facilities and community centers, new grocery and retail stores, and new outdoor recreational spaces. Residents will all benefit from brand new modern housing in a mixed use and mixed income community, as well as benefit from HUD's RAD resident protections and affordability restrictions. For residents who are newly converting to Section 8 through the transaction, they must sign a PACT Section 8 lease with a PACT partner prior to conversion, and any existing Section 8 residents at Chelsea houses will remain on their current lease until they move into their respective replacement building. All residents moving from Fulton 11 and Chelsea Addition, as well as all residents who are converting to Section 8 in this phase, will be signing a right to return agreement, which is a resident protection granted by the RAD program. Now, since the designation of the PACT partner in 2021, the authority and the PACT partner have conducted extensive resident engagement at the project site. To date, more than 50 resident meetings have been held, including campus-wide meetings, targeted sessions focused on the design and programming of the redeveloped campuses and buildings, as well as informational sessions with representatives from HUD. To further support residents, NYCHA has informed all residents of the availability of free, independent legal service. Recently, NYCHA introduced the law firm Convergent Law to provide residents with free, independent legal advisory support. At the project site, Convergent Law is available to assist residents with legal questions related to the lease, relocation process, right to return agreements, and any other questions about resident rights under the PACT program. The PACT partner has provided a hiring and training plan that outlines the labor hours and training opportunities, as well as the other economic opportunities by the project, the details of which are provided to the board. It is estimated that the project will generate no less than approximately 1,100,000 total estimated labor hours and 275,000 estimated project Section 3 labor hours. To wrap it up, we are anticipating that the first phase PACT conversion will take place later this year, and we will continue to work with our partners and residents to ensure a successful transition. Thank you so much for your time. Let me know if you have any questions on item 4.
Yes, I do. So, am I to understand from what you just presented that, well, first of all, how many phases will be complete within 5 years?
The total number of phases is still subject to ongoing, pre-development work. We are anticipating, as outlined in the master development agreement, that we'll be able to accomplish this in 2 phases. That is the goal. We want to deliver this as quickly as possible, but that is still subject to ongoing.
So phase 1 will be done in 5 years?
Phase one would be done in approximately 3 years for Fulton, 4 years for Elliott-Chelsea, and then a subsequent closing in a similar fashion ideally would happen a phase 2 closing in about approximately 5 years.
And again, those apartments that are covered in phase 1, the new developers are doing repairs there now.
Correct. So for all the units that are converting in the 4 buildings at Fulton and the 2 at Elliott-Chelsea campus that will remain occupied, those will go into management by related management, and they will be responsible for closing out work orders as well as through the PACT program delivering enhanced social services.
Excellent, thank you.
So, it's 2,000 residents in phase 1 and 2?
I would have to provide you with the exact number of residents.
Something like that. Yep. Sounds, anyways, vaguely familiar. Do you know when the Fulton, Elliott-Chelsea were built originally?
In the fifth, I could provide you the exact years as well.
No, I know.
don't have them on me. Yes.
This is rhetorical. I'm saying of unit. In the 50s, in the mid.
Yes.
Yeah, I know it's interesting.
50s and 60s.
Yeah, exactly. There's a people should know this. There's a amazing archive of NYCHA photographs that LaGuardia Community College maintains in digital form. And you can just go online and look at them, and there must be tens of thousands of pictures from the history of NYCHA. And you can search them because that's what you can do with digital stuff apparently. And so I was curious to see whether there are any photographs of the construction of this property, and there actually are. There's a lot of them in the 50s. I had one of them printed out. I've got it somewhere in my office. Which I thought was just sort of interesting to see a couple of things. One is just the notion that NYCHA in the past was actually a major developer in this city. I mean, it's kind of incredible to think of now when we haven't really done any of that for decades. But actually, NYCHA was every year was building new significant new housing in the city, and something I think we'll get back to at some point. But two, just the notion that, it struck me that here I was looking at a construction project from the 1950s, which is now almost, depending on the year, it's probably 70 some odd years ago. And there really hasn't been much work put into these buildings since. We've talked a lot in the past about that, what happened, and reasons why, but it's just the fact. We have residents, I can't remember what our average length of stay residency is. I don't know for these 26 years? Okay, so we've got folks, that means there's more than 26 or less than 26. So we've got lots of folks living in Fulton, Elliott-Chelsea, probably been there for 30 and 40 years, which is half those buildings' lives, and have never seen a lick of work put into them because of various failures of government. I say all that because it's just worth stepping back and reminding ourselves what is happening here, which is that all of these residents are gonna move out for some period of time from their existing apartments. They're gonna move into fully refurbished units very, very close by, correct? Yeah.
The 111 households moving out of Fulton 11 and Chelsea
Right.
Mission. Everyone else will move directly
Moves
into
the new buildings, right. But one way or the other, they're gonna move out of where they're living now, which I just described, and into new apartments.
Correct.
Yeah. And in the same place with the same rights, everything the same, except the apartment was old and now it's new. And the amenities you described are, I don't know, the kind of amenities that's significant that I think most people in this room who don't live in NYCHA housing would probably figure are sort of base level for what you would hope to have when you live in an apartment in the city. I mean, you said washing machines, air conditioning. I mean, that's not, and building somebody in the lobby access area. I think that's table stakes for a lot of buildings in this city and not for the folks who live in these exactly south. It should be, but it's not. That is remarkable. And I've got tremendous sympathy for the residents who our team and others have worked with over the last, it's gotta be 5+ years at this point, 5 years, 6 years to get to this point. And we've had a tremendous impact on what the construction of this project is gonna look like and what it's gonna look like over time. I have tremendous sympathy for them. I know that it makes people very anxious, would make me anxious to be moving out of an apartment, even if it's, next door. And I think the team has done a spectacular job of answering questions, changing all the various details to meet most concerns, and I appreciate that not everybody's gonna be, nobody will ever be fully satisfied. I think once this works out, I think it will prove to have been a huge success, but I understand for the residents, it can be traumatic. I'm not sympathetic to anybody who is not a NYCHA resident, who is concerned about the impact of this work on some other aspect of their lives, and for whatever reason apparently thinks that the NYCHA residents who've been living in these buildings don't deserve the kind of amenities that they themselves would expect anywhere they live. So again, I think the work that's gone into bringing us to this point today is extraordinary. I think you can appreciate the complexity of what you just described. I still don't quite understand it all. It's like one of those Jenga things. But when it's complete, when the entire project is complete, I think it will be a signature achievement in the history of urban planning in this country. So thank you, and thank everybody who's been involved.
Thank you very much, Lord.
That's okay.
Thank you. Item number 5, Oliver.
Good morning. I'm Oliver Osterwin, Vice President for Project Management and Asset and Capital Management. I'll be presenting the next few items, starting with item number 5, which seeks authorization to award a contract to the lowest responsive and responsible bidder, Bagiana General Construction, Inc., for roofing replacement and rooftop structure renovations at Howard Houses in the amount of $11,229,380. Scope of work includes, but is not limited to, removal and replacement of the existing roofing system and related work, including asbestos and lead abatement. The contract term duration is for 2 years exactly. The projected Section 3 labor hours are 7,500, which represents 25% of the overall.
Where is this?
Howard.
Oh, right.
I'll present items 6 and 7 together, which seek authorization to award 2 IDIQ contracts for roof work at various developments citywide to A&B Construction, Inc. and P&K Contracting, Inc. in the not-to-exceed amount of $100 million each. The scope of work includes, but is not limited to, removal and replacement of the existing roofing system and related work, including asbestos and lead abatement. The term for these IDIQs is 3 years, with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. The projected Section 3 labor hours are 50,000 and 80,000 respectively, which represents 25% of the overall. Item 8 seeks authorization to award 1 IDIQ to AWL Industries for rental mobile boilers, heat exchangers, and mobile oil tanks at various developments citywide in the not-to-exceed amount of $12,090,000. The scope of work includes, but isn't limited to, furnishing all labor, materials, equipment, insurance, and incidentals required for rental mobile boilers, heat exchangers, and mobile oil tanks to be delivered to specific locations throughout the authority. The term for the IDIQ is 3 years, with 2 one-year renewal options to be exercised at the authority's sole discretion. The projected Section 3 labor hours are 18,787, which represents 25% of the overall. Item 9 seeks to amend Board Resolution 25-3/26-8, which authorized entering into a contract with Gemco Electrical Contractors, Inc. for immediate response restoration at citywide locations in the amount of $20 million. Subsequent to board authorization, it was determined that the board resolution incorrectly stated the contract number as 2442434. The correct.
I knew it.
Now you tell me. The correct contract number is 2442433, and therefore.
Right to me.
So ANCM is requesting authorization to correct that error.
That's it.
Thank you, Oliver.
Good morning, board members, Chair Rubin, CEO Bover Hyatt, members of the public. My name is Anika Lascott Martinez. I am the Executive Vice President and Chief Financial Officer, and I will be presenting resolution number 10. Resolution 10 requests authorization to issue NYCHA's single audit report for the fiscal year ending December 31st, 2024. I'm pleased to report that our auditors Deloitte & Touche LLP did not identify any material weaknesses in internal control over financial reporting this year. However, the auditors did note 2 deficiencies which are considered low grade and do not rise to the level of material weakness. They are as follows: insufficient accrual of post-year-end capital invoices and improper capitalization of expenses related to environmental remediation costs under GASB 49. Both items were corrected prior to the issuance of the financial statements. We have also put in place additional procedures and corrective measures, including enhanced training, stronger review processes, and improved documentation standards to ensure these items do not recur. In terms of our compliance for the single audit, the auditors have issued a qualified opinion on our public and Indian housing program due to non-compliance related to environmental testing. It's important to note that this material compliance issue identified relates to our environmental remediation related to lead-based paint, an area where NYCHA has been fully transparent with HUD, the Federal Monitor, and the public under the 2029 agreement executed. As of year-end 2024, NYCHA has recorded over $4.9 billion in pollution remediation obligations, and we continue to implement our long-term corrective action plan to address environmental health and safety risks. For the board's awareness, this item will continue to be a weakness until all lead-based paint is fully remediated on NYCHA housing. Sorry. All other programs received clean opinions, and there were no additional material weaknesses or reportable instances of non-compliance that would impact the overall audit conclusion. There are 3 additional findings that are probably worth mentioning to the board, all of which are lower level findings. The first is missing eligibility documentation in the public housing tenant files, missing eligibility forms for participants in the Section 8 housing voucher program, and incomplete HUD Form 5005A documentation for Section 8 participants. All of these items stem and go back almost a decade now, related to a switchover from when we digitized our files. So there are instances that the auditors have found where we have incomplete tenant files because we no longer have the original application or the original 5058 forms. In some cases, those forms could be 20 years old. It is difficult to completely address this finding because since the files were digitized many years ago, there's no way to go back and get those files. But both our Public Housing Tenancy Administration group and our Section 8 group are very confident that going forward, those items are complete. While none of these findings are considered material, they do present operational and compliance risks that we must continue to keep track of. In all cases, management has committed to corrective actions, including enhanced controls, staff training, and system improvements. The NYCHA Audit and Finance Committee reviewed and recommended board approval of the single audit report on September 5th, 2025, and we now respectfully request the full board's approval to authorize the issuance of the 2024 single audit. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's great, nice job.
Item number 11.
Good morning, board members. My name is Andy Dokas. I'm treasurer of NYCHA, and I'm presenting item number 11. The board resolution seeks the approval to authorize signatories for authority payments, investments, and related transactions. It replaces or supersedes a 1994 board resolution. The purpose of the resolution is to set forth who at NYCHA, based on their title and their department, is authorized to approve payments, investment, and debt investments, obligations. It requires high level of approval for payments that go outside of NYCHA. So a vice president of the requesting area, as well as the CFO, need to sign off. For internal transfers amongst NYCHA accounts, there's a lower level requirement. Investments that are made by NYCHA need to be approved either by the CFO, the treasurer, or staff on the Treasury Department that's specifically designated. Debt obligations would need to be signed off and authorized by the CFO or the treasurer. All of the existing controls and the segregation of duties that we have remain in place and are unchanged. We recommend that the board approve the resolution, and I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Anthony. John?
Good afternoon, board members. Excuse me. My name is John Eason. I'm the Assistant Director for Risk Management. Today I'm presenting item number 12, which requests board approval to award the authority's property and terrorism insurance program policies for a total annual premium of $18,984,066.62. This program will have a one-year term commencing October 30th, 2025 and continuing to October 30th, 2026. As a reminder, the recommended program includes our all-risk property insurance with total insurance limits of $250 million per occurrence, subject to deductibles of $5 million for named storm and floods, $1 million for all other perils, and $50,000 for damage to property in transit, as well as a 48-hour waiting period for business and service interruption losses. The total annual premium for the all-risk property insurance is $18,723,566.62. We are also requesting authorization for the terrorism insurance with total limits of $150 million per occurrence, subject to a deductible of $100,000. The total annual premium for the terrorism insurance is $260,500. The current property terrorism insurance program will be paid from our operating federal account. We are pleased to advise that this result, in terms of the insurance premium, beats our budget projection due to favorable marketing conditions, and the total premium is in fact 5.7% less than the expiring premium, something we haven't been able to report at Risk Management for a couple of years. So very happy to say that. Any questions or concerns? Thank you.
Good morning, members of the board. Anne Marie Flatley, SVP for Performance Management and Analytics. I'm here to present on item number 13. This resolution seeks authorization to submit the authority's fiscal year 2026 annual PHA plan. The 26 annual plan includes items that will be discussed in the next board resolution for the significant amendment to the 25 annual plan. The 2026 plan includes updates to several PHA plan elements, including the financial resources, community services and self-sufficiency programs, conversion of public housing to tenant-based and project-based rental assistance, or project-based vouchers under the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, and changes to the tenant selection and assignment plan. It also includes the fiscal year 2026 Capital Fund Annual Statement, Performance and Evaluation Report, and 5-year 2026 to 2030 Action Plan, which were also released for public review in the plan document to comply with the federal regulations 24 CFR section 905.300, which require that these documents be reviewed by the Resident Advisory Board and a public hearing be conducted. This resolution also seeks authorization to submit the certification of compliance with the PHA plan and related regulations to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in accordance with Section 511 of the Quality Housing and Work Responsibility Act of 1998. The certification that will be executed includes the same 7 notations which are included in the board resolution for the significant amendment to the 2025 annual plan. The signed certification, along with the annual plan and board resolution, will be electronically submitted to HUD by October 18th, 2025. Okay. Item number 14. This resolution seeks authorization to submit an amendment to the authority's fiscal year 2025 annual plan. The amendment includes the following: the request to HUD to submit the necessary applications and to obtain the necessary approvals to release the FHA repossessed houses public housing development portfolio from its declaration of trust in order to convert the subsidy from Section 9 public housing subsidy to Section 8 project-based voucher assistance pursuant to 1, the Rental Assistance Demonstration Program, and/or 2, disposition under Section 18 of the U.S. Housing Act of 1937 as amended, and to add the development to previously approved Permanent Affordability Commitment Together PACT program conversions. It also includes the request to HUD to submit the necessary applications and to obtain the necessary approvals to release the Lavenberg Public Housing Development from its declaration of trust pursuant to disposition under Section 18. This resolution also seeks authorization to submit the certifications of compliance with the PHA plan and related regulations to HUD in accordance with Section 511 of the Quality Housing Work Responsibility Act of '98. Please note for the record, there are 7 notations which are listed in the certification document that is also included in this board resolution. The signed certification, along with the final amendment and board resolution, will be electronically submitted to HUD by October 18th, 2025. Victor?
Great, thank you.
All I wanted to say is I wanted to thank you for clearing up the situation with the TSAT system.
Oh, okay.
I had thought that it was, so to speak, sunsetting.
Oh, no.
And I was, I guess, misinformed, and I'm kind of glad that you straightened out.
Okay, great,
Thank you.
yes, you're welcome, thanks.
And I also just wanted to acknowledge the 53 speakers I think we had at the
Yeah,
annual
we had a great
meeting,
number of
that all
speakers.
of their comments are attached to the submission.
Yes, so it is a required attachment that we put in what are called challenged elements. So that includes the comments that were made at the public hearing, and also comments that were submitted through the annual plan email box as well as in the chat. So we go through those comments. Some of them are very specific. They have issues with their apartment or issues with their application. So we track those, we follow up with them with the appropriate staff, either in property management or housing applications. And then there's the overall comments that we receive, you know, in regard to maybe things we're doing with real estate development, changes to TSAP. So we summarize those, and those are submitted with the final annual plan as well as the amendment. And we also include the comments we received through the resident advisory board, all the meetings that we hold with them.
Excellent, and just important that that meeting has impact, just
Oh,
thank you
absolutely,
so much.
yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Anne Marie. Tony?
Good morning. My name is Tony Maldonado, Vice President of Purchasing, Logistics and Inventory, and I will be presenting item number 15 on behalf of Supply Management and Procurement Department for your consideration. Item number 15 seeks authorization to ratify the entering into an agreement with Sid Tool Company Incorporated, DBA MSC Industrial Supply Company, in the amount of $2,387,320.86 for the purchase and delivery of various maintenance and repair and operation supplies, such as safety equipment, hardware, and tools, utilizing the terms and conditions of the New York State Office of General Services contract number PC 69878. This is a 4-year, 2-month, and 14-day agreement with no renewal options. A vendor name check is not required, and given that this contract is for goods only, a Section 3 hiring plan is not required. Are there any questions?
Thank you. Okay, item number 16.
Good morning, board members. My name is Andrew Corbel, Operations Administrator for the Waste Management Department, and I will be presenting item number 16 today. Item number 16 requests authorization to award one requirement contract for bulk garbage carting services at various developments in Bronx South. The scope of work includes but is not limited to providing bulk garbage carting services on an as-needed basis. These requirement contracts ensure the timely disposal of all bulk garbage items. Item number 16 has a not-to-exceed amount of $6,163,125. Item number 16 is being awarded to Waste Connections of New York, Inc. The total estimated labor hours are 32,438, and the Section 3 total projected labor hours are 8,110. There is a variance of negative 16.4% between the vendor's bid and the authority's cost estimates, which are attributed to the vendors not providing a premium rate for Saturday service, which was below the authority's cost estimates. Additionally, the vendor's price justification per haul, logistics, equipment, and materials were reviewed and accepted by the Waste Management Department. Please let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you.
No questions? Thank you, Andrew. Chair, that concludes our meeting and we're ready to take a vote.
Before we vote, one moment please.
Put on your mic, please. Thank you.
There we go. So Madam Secretary, before the board votes on today's resolutions, please let the record reflect that I'm hereby recusing myself from casting a vote on agenda items 1 and 2.
Thank you very much. Thanks. Do I have a motion to approve the 16 items, recognizing that the chair has recused himself from board items number 1 and 2?
Gavin, so moved.
Second,
Second.
I'll recognize.
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let the record reflect that we are adjourning at 11:26 a.m. and our next meeting will be on Wednesday, October 29th, 2025. See you all then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, Friday.